We are going to learn how to scrape data from the web. In an earlier video, we looked at how to get data from an API, from the CoinCarp API to get cryptocurrency prices. Now, if a website doesn't provide an API, the easiest way to get data from it is to use web scraping. Now, in this case, let's say I'm interested in jobs in the Bay Area. So, for web developer jobs. Now, each and every one of these jobs listed here has a compensation column to it. I mean, it's a site for compensation, as you can see right here. And it also states the employment type. Now, it will be tedious and time consuming if I have to go through each and every one of these to see what the compensation is. And that's where web scraping comes in. We can use Python to scrape the data on each and every one of these pages and then find the compensation and also the employment type. And we could put this in an Excel file and sort it out, and most likely we could just say apply for only jobs for that have the compensation clearly written, and also just full-time jobs and not part-time jobs. So with that in mind, let's get started. So open up PyCharm now, and for this tutorial we're going to install the BS4 package, and that is BeautifulSoup for scraping data. So go to settings, and under your project interpreter you can click on the plus sign, and we want to install BS4. Now BS4 right there, and then we can click on install package. Once this is done, you could close this window and also close this window down here by clicking on OK. So now that that is done, now in an earlier tutorial we installed the request module, which we'll be using again. So let's start by typing import requests, and then also from BS4 import BeautifulSoup. Alright, so we have these two. Then we first have to make a request to the web page to grab the HTML content. So we want to create a variable r, and that will be for requests .get, and then we want to get the URL of the job listing page, which I already copied and I can paste in here. Alright, so this sends a GET request to our page to fetch the HTML content. And to see what we actually get, and you can actually print out our .text. Alright, and when you run this, you can see it has HTML content right here, right from the page. It shows like all of the HTML content there. Now, in order to know the exact data to scrape, you can use the inspect feature, which comes with Google Chrome, to see the class that is assigned to the elements you want to scrape. So let's go back to the web page. So now we see each and every one of these job listings. When you right click and click on inspect, right here in the dev console you can see that, let's close this, each and every one of these job listings has a class called HDR LNK. So in order to grab all of these links, we can go back to PyCharm, and then we could create an object from for BeautifulSoup. So we can name this soup equals BeautifulSoup, and our.text, which is the content of the HTML page, and HTML.parser. This is basically telling BeautifulSoup to use an HTML parser. Now, once we're done with that, we want to find all the links there. So we could say links equals soup dot find all, and the link is an a tag, as we saw. And then the class, this has a class of HDRLNK. All right. So this gives us a list. So you can actually print it out to see what that is. When you hit run, you could see that this is a list right here that shows all of the lists, all of the links on that. So now we have all the lists. So now we have all the links. The next step will be to go to each and every one of these links. So for instance, when we go here, it shows compensation and also the employment type. So we want to go to each and every one of these and fetch the compensation and the hourly rate. So when you right click again, say right click on this, inspect, you can see this is a span tag, right? That has a compensation there and also has employment type, which is right here. Now, and this has a class of ATTR group. So let's go back to PyCharm and we can simply loop over this and say for link in links. So we want to first do a request to each and every page. So we can say content equals requests dot get. So go to that link, and then we can then get the description of the page. We can just create a variable called DES description, and we'll say beautiful soup. Again, we say content dot text HTML dot parser. And we can create another variable called details, which is to get the p tag that has our ATTR group as we saw before. So this is going to be DSC dot find. So we want to find that p tag which has class, okay, ATTR group. All right. And we could also create one more variable just to grab the specific compensation and the type of job. So maybe we could name this more equals details dot find all, and we want to find all span tags. Right now, this might get a bit complicated, but you say the most important thing is to take a look at the page and go step by step. So you could see here we found the p tag for the ATTR group, and after that we want to get this span tags here. So one for compensation, the other for the employment type. Alright, so back to PyCharm. So we have more details, find all, we want to find all the span tags, and we know that the compensation is going to be the first span tag. So we could say more and the index is 0, and we want to grab the text from that. And the other one is going to be type, and we say more again, and this is the first index.txt, actually the second, which is 1, right? So now that we have this, we can actually just put variables such as, maybe just make this simpler. We say title of the job equals our link.text, and our URL is equal to the link, but then we want to get the href attribute of that, and we can just put this as a list. Okay, we can make this a list, and we say results of that will be a list which is title, URL, compensation, and then type. So we can actually print out this result here. All right, so this so far, this is what we have so far. Let's run this. Oh, and actually we got an error because this here, the content is supposed to be for to request.get, and we have to actually get the href. All right, so let's just correct that. All right, so now that we have this, you can run this, and right here in the console now you can see we have some results. So it shows the job title, the link, and it also shows the compensation and also the employment type. So far so good. We have all the data that we need. But we can actually take this a step further by writing all of these results to a CSV file. Now, the advantage of doing that is you have it in a CSV file, and the format is better. You can actually open it in Excel and sort it out by compensation, sort it out by employment type, and whichever way you want. Okay, so to do this, let's add the CSV module. So import CSV. And actually, one important thing while doing web scraping is to sometimes not send too many requests to the website you're scraping, because some websites might actually block you for that. So we can actually import time. And in this case, what we are going to do is for each and every time we send a request, we can actually wait for 5 seconds before sending another. So we can say time.sleep, and let's say we can wait for 5 seconds, right? Okay. All right. So we added the sleep here for 5 seconds, and now to write our CSV file, we can create a variable, say f, and this will be open. And let's create a file and name it jobs.csv. And the mode that we're opening this in is going to be, we are going to open it as a writable file. So the mode is going to be W, and then we're going to terminate new lines in our CSV file by just using an empty space, actually, an empty string. All right. Okay, and then we create another variable called CSV, and this will be set to CSV.writer, and we have F, which is the variable we created earlier. So now that we loop through this, so once we are looping through this, instead of just printing this result, we can actually write it to a CSV file by adding CSV.writer, actually CSV.write row, and then we want to write the result, which is our list there. And after we're done with this, we want to go ahead and close the file we opened. All right, so a quick run through. We imported requests, we imported BS4, and from that BS4 we got BeautifulSoup. We imported CSV, we imported time. We sent a request to the web page, which is request.get. Then we got all the links on the front page, which are these links right here. And for each and every one of these links, we looped through it, went to the page, grabbed the content of that page, passed it over to BeautifulSoup, and for each and every one of those pages, we wanted to grab the details of the p tag that has a class ATTR group, and from that ATTR group, there are two spans, right? We find those spans. The first one is the compensation. The second one is the employment type. All right, and then we put this all into a list. We then go ahead and write this to a CSV file. We open a CSV file, right? Created a CSV variable. Then we write this to CSV and close the file. All right, so let's go ahead and run this. Now this is going to wait for a little bit because we are actually waiting for 5 seconds before we send each request, as we are doing here. Okay, so our code is done running, and this is just a printout from our print statement over here. Right, so then you can see here that a new file called jobs.csv was created. So we can right click on this and go to show in Explorer. So it opens it right here, right? So we can then just go ahead and open this in Excel. Okay, we can expand these rows to make things look a bit better, right? And there we have it. You can see it in Excel here. With that, you can see the job title, the link, compensation, and also the employment type. So with this that I have in front of me, I can easily see which jobs are part-time, which ones are full-time, and then I can see the compensation. Some of them do actually have figures, the figure of how much you're getting paid, so you can easily sort it out. Like, okay, I can see this here, I can see that one, that one. Some just say competitive, but if you're really interested in applying for jobs that only clearly state their compensation, so you know you're not wasting your time, this is a good way to sort out the jobs and get what you're looking for. Thanks so much for watching this tutorial and stay tuned for more.